Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about the diabetes prevention program at Baptist? Is it at the main campus or?
So we have 2 cohorts running right now. The diabetes prevention program is being facilitated through the Centers for Disease Control. It was a landmark study and trial that was done back in 1996, and flash forward to now, CDC has launched these programs in different parts of the country, and you have to be accredited. Right. And so here at Baptist, we are accredited. Yeah, and we're in our 3rd year in Dade County and the 1st year in Broward County. So yes, we currently are at the main campus in Baptist off of Kendall Drive, and then in Broward, we're at one of our resource centers in Pembroke Pines. For January of 2020, we'll be launching the next program because they do run for a year long. And in January of 2020, we'll be having it at West Kendall Baptist and then also at the same facility in Pines. Again, the diabetes prevention program is a year-long.
Is West Kendall.
January 2020.
Do you have a printout about all this? About this program?
We do have a flyer for it.
Okay.
I can definitely share that with you.
Okay. Okay, that'd be great.
So, Amy, just send it over to me when you get a chance.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, in fact, I just talked to Dr. Ron Goldberg, who was involved in the diabetes prevention program study, at UM. So, I mean, it's still ongoing.
Correct.
Yeah. So
he was one of the original pioneers.
Right. So what does this do? Does this look for people who might be pre-diabetic or?
Correct. So in order to be eligible for the program, they have to meet one of the requirements when you're looking at a blood glucose level that would indicate that they could have an irregularity in their blood sugar levels. And so, again, if it's an A1C, which is the hemoglobin A1C, which is a 3-month average that they check, the range would be anywhere from 5.7 to 6.4. And our flyer has that too, Kathy, in case it shows the qualifications, the specifications. Or they could have just a fasting level that is elevated anywhere between 100 and 125. And then the last qualification is like an oral glucose tolerance test, which they don't typically do. It's not as common anymore. But those are the 3 kind of qualifications that you would look at to see if somebody has an irregularity in their blood sugar levels to indicate that they could be at risk for prediabetes. And then obviously that's the qualifications to prevent diabetes within the program. And so in the program, it's a year-long program that we meet for 24 weeks. The first 16 weeks are once a week where we meet. And then every thereafter, it happens to be some of them are 2 times a month, and then it falters to the last 4 months, it's roughly once a month. So 24 total sessions, and you're guided by a lifestyle coach. I happen to be the coach in Broward, and we have another coworker that's the lifestyle coach in Dade. And our program at Baptist is a little bit unique because we help and facilitate to bring in a dietitian, which I also happen to be, but we bring in a couple experts to help be the coaches, right? So now when it's a session about nutrition, we bring in a dietitian, and she's also trained to be a lifestyle coach. We also bring in a psychotherapist to help with stress management. So we're tackling different areas, whether it's a psychotherapist. She's a psychotherapist.
Okay.
And so we have all these kind of, again, sessions geared towards exercise, nutrition, stress management that we're educating but also help facilitating with the participants, which we have 18 participants currently, Kathy, in both cohorts. And whatever issues are arising, that's what the discussion will be, even though we may have guided discussions for each week and of things that we have to touch base about. We also help facilitate through the week. Again, it's looking for lifestyle change is the key component. And what the original, study showed, and Dr. Goldberg, I'm sure, alluded to it, was there were the 3 different groups in that original study, and they had this intensive lifestyle coaching, along with making sure they got 150 minutes of exercise every week, making sure that they were obviously changing things within their diet and meal patterns. And what they saw was within that group, they had a 58% reduction in developing diabetes. The other cohort, had just the metformin medication, and the third cohort had placebo. So they stopped the study early because they saw the benefits and all the data to indicate we need to really intervene. And so, yes, that's what we're doing currently. Our data does show, and we haven't followed up with the other two cohorts, but we will be in this next year to see where they're at, obviously with maintaining weight loss and then also exercise. But we have them continue, every now and then communicate with us to let us know that they're doing well.
So you say your cohort, that's the one in Broward, was that the first one?
Say that again, Kathy, you broke out.
The one in Broward. You said you're doing the cohort in Broward. Is that the first one?
Correct.
Because you said, okay. So, okay, I got a little bit lost here. Our data does show, I got lost after that.
No, I think the data showed in that original study, Kathy,
I know about that. I got the information on that. But you were saying our data does show something about your cohort or something. You were saying something
We're showing that just in those, Kathy, that are actually doing the exercise and that are actually having a weight reduction, it's facilitated through different changes that they're having, whether it's now they're including more vegetables. We're targeting a goal each week, but you can see that their A1Cs, which we also check every 3 months, have gone down as well. So for me, that's kind of, again, a nice benefit for the patients, the participants, to see that their numbers overall have improved. Again, that's not with a focus on weight, even though that is part of, what we're gauging to see, right, if they have had weight loss. But we're looking more at some of the other goals that they're also trying to accomplish. Some of our participants have never exercised before in their lives. And so for them to get 100, some of them are, again, that alone is facilitating changes in lifestyle that how do you incorporate it each week? So as I mentioned, where we have different experts that come in, some of it is exercise, and we teach them different techniques with stretch bands, with flexibility, with all these different areas of the cardiovascular endurance and strength in order for them to be able to do it on their own.
Okay. So you're emphasizing lifestyle changes, not necessarily a diet, or you are emphasizing a diet? Is there a certain diet?
Lifestyle changes, right? So another example for the diet, when I use the word diet, Kathy, that just means food that people eat. And so within their diet, some of them, again, have never eaten vegetables. I have an actual wife and husband in this particular program. And again, you can think that if one isn't eating it, the other isn't as well, right? And so they've now started to include vegetables at dinner every day, and she takes a vegetable to lunch. Definite changes in how they're eating overall. Another particular participant I'm thinking of just recently is also now starting to include more whole grains. They used to only say, for instance, eat white rice, but now they've expanded and are eating quinoa. Now they're doing a whole wheat pasta. Yes, so simple switch outs to improve ways to include more fiber was one of the topics for one of the weeks that we discussed.
Okay. So you said the one who was just eating white rice before was now
eating quinoa,
eating whole grain and quinoa.
You got it. Just different forms. They were even, not eating oats. So now they do oatmeal in the morning.
Okay.
I think it's just the ability for them to see that they can include carbohydrates, but we look at the quality and the quantity of them. So a lot of participants, when they get this first diagnosis of saying that they have, prediabetes, this irregularity, get really concerned and avoid the carbohydrates altogether. And as I've stated, before, we're now working to show them portions, so the quality and the quantity.
Okay. is there any certain, are there certain foods, what diet-wise should people do to avoid becoming pre-diabetic?
It's a good question. The one that we target and that we look at is added sugar. So where I mentioned the word carbohydrates, we allow for them to see added sugar as a form of carbohydrate, but whether it's sugar, honey, maple syrup, agave, and specifically sugary drinks, Kathy. So I know that, again, I keep thinking to my participants, this particular one is a single mom struggling, drinking coffee, and that's like her little kind of, afternoon relief, right? But she's now transitioned and only has it black, or sometimes she has it with milk, so now with natural sugar, but no added sugar, which is a big transition for her, where she used to do 2 or 3 glasses of a sugared coffee throughout the day. So I've told her, and again, within an A1C level, it's gone down where she had a 5.7, she's down to a 5.4, and it's been and remains stable. Now, granted, she's doing exercise as well, but again, all of these working together in order to help with prevention. But yes, sugary drinks, I would say, is kind of one of the biggest areas that we look at in helping to have them reduce their overall consumption. I think a lot of them may not realize where even it's hidden and sourced. So we discuss that, whether it's in the ketchup or whether it's in the bread or whether it's in yogurt. While yogurt has natural sugar, it also has added. So again, targeting all those forms of the added sugar and really trying to reduce total consumption.
Okay. Do you have any data about, are there any symptoms for the prediabetes other than to take these blood tests?
So some
people
may
don't know they're pre-diabetic.
Correct. And I think, when you hear those numbers alone, Kathy, that to me is staggering. Those are the ways I always start off conversations, that 1 to 3 people have it, but 9 out of 10 don't know they have it, right? That is staggering. But, so no, typically a lot of them will not have symptoms that they may associate with it being the problem, and where everybody is individualized. Some of the common descriptions you'll hear would be thirst, frequent urination, fatigue, blurred vision. But again, there's no real kind of exact symptoms with the prediabetes. The only one that I've heard, go ahead.
Oh, because like Dr. Goldberg said, a lot of those were for pretty severe blood sugar rises.
Right.
Some of
what
those,
I would say, it's interesting, Kathy, because I actually know Dr. Goldberg, and we've talked about it a lot. The one symptom I was about to tell you that you do get and have them described, but they also don't really know what it is a lot of them are hyperinsulinemic. So, again, their pancreas is secreting extra insulin to cover the sugar in the bloodstream, right? So let's say that sugary drink. Hyperinsulinemia. And if they're in the condition, it's hyperinsulinemia. Hyperinsulinemia, yes.
Anemia. And so what are they doing? Their
pancreas is trying to secrete enough insulin in order to cover all of that sugar that's circulating in the bloodstream. So again, think of that sugary drink maybe somebody's having, a soda, a sweetened iced tea. Depending on the volume of what they've just given their body to process, that pancreas will secrete insulin and try to cover it. And so, again, if they've given them too much insulin, because sometimes the insulin works, sometimes it doesn't, but let's say this time it covered it and it covered it too much, it makes their blood sugar go from a high all the way to low. And so that drop in blood sugar makes them feel really, really bad. They can go from almost starting to feel hungry all over again, even though they may have just eaten something. They start to feel as if you've ever had a low blood sugar, like it's time to eat, right? You feel shaky, you feel sweaty, and you can even get a headache. But they just, honestly, they just don't feel good. So those are some of the things you'll hear a patient describe, and they just don't know why it's happening.
They just don't feel good. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks. Anyway, okay, so they just don't feel good. And so what people can do who are pre-diabetic is basically lifestyle change. Right?
Correct. So another, where we look at the plate is a great example, Kathy, for them to visualize and to do a check-off to see how they are eating, where half the plate is non-starchy vegetables, a quarter of the plate would be that source of carbohydrate, so whether it's a sweet potato or whether it's quinoa or brown rice, and then a quarter of the plate coming from lean proteins. So that's kind of the first area that we'll look at to have them decide what goal they want to work on and where they should aim to begin to make changes versus making them all at once, right? It's that lifestyle and sticking with it to become a habit. So if the person is already doing some whole grains, we might then look at the quantity of how much they're eating to make sure then they lower the load and that they're eating within a portion the body can actually digest. The lean protein, same concept. We're looking at quality and quantity. Whether it's turkey, whether it's tuna, whether it's chicken. And in that class, Kathy, we talk about ways to cook. We actually even bring in a chef to do a cooking demo with the participants so that they can actually get hands-on, like it's a demo, but yet they're also cooking their meal as well. We did a chicken stir fry this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Giving them real practical ways versus just telling them to eat it, but actually putting it in motion for them to be able to really take it home and make the change.
Okay.
And then the last portion, again, where half a plate is non-starchy vegetables, throughout the program I provide them with samples so that they can kind of see and taste test different examples of these non-starchy vegetables. And so I think it's important, we do recipes with Baptist that we've hashtag Baptist Healthy, which is another way. We have them all on video, Kathy, and sometimes in the backdrop we have it playing so that they can see all of the recipes that we do. And the concept behind Baptist Healthy is that we really try and show how to make simple food healthy but doable as well. So we have that in our resource center playing so that they can see some of the videos, obviously before we start class, right? But, they're playing in the background, and that creates discussion and excitement and thinking, oh, I can make that. That looks pretty simple. But I bring it in for them to sample also. And, I think that's the key. That's the key component for participants is they may not like everything I bring in, but we always talk about at least trying it. And then in that next week, finding a different way to maybe prepare it that they enjoy better. So I did the sautéed kale 1 week for them, and my one participant came back and she said that she didn't love it cooked, but she ended up having it as a salad. And so she said she liked it raw better than cooked, which to each his own, right? But I was ecstatic because there she is really, truly trying it out.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much for talking to me. And if you can send me the pamphlet that's got all the information about the program.